In the last HSC tutorial, we were discussing about the chemical hazards, the diseases caused by chemicals, the effects of chemicals on human health and body. In this training session, we'll discuss about the properties of chemicals. Dear friends and fellows, I'll highlight 20 properties of chemicals that may affect human health. Number one, acute toxicity, the ability of a chemical to cause harmful effects after a single exposure or dose. Number two, chronic toxicity, the ability of a chemical to cause harmful effects over a long period of time, often after repeated or continuous exposure. Number three, carcinogenicity, the ability of a chemical to cause cancer. Number four, mutagenicity, the ability of a chemical to cause genetic mutations. Number five, teratogenicity, the ability of a chemical to cause birth defects. Number six, reproductive toxicity, the ability of a chemical to adversely affect reproductive function or fertility. Number seven, neurotoxicity, the ability of a chemical to damage the nervous system. Number eight, immunotoxicity, the ability of a chemical to adversely affect the immune system. Number nine, phototoxicity, the ability of a chemical to cause harmful effects when exposed to light. Number 10, sensitization, the ability of a chemical to cause an allergic response upon exposure. Number 11, corrosivity, the ability of a chemical to cause tissue damage by chemical action. Number 12, flammability, the ability of a chemical to ignite and burn. Number 13, explosivity, the ability of a chemical to detonate or explode. Number 14, oxidizing potential, the ability of a chemical to support or facilitate the process of oxidation. Number 15, reducing potential, the ability of a chemical to support or facilitate the process of reduction. Number 16, vapor pressure, the pressure exerted by a chemical in vapor form at a given temperature. Number 17, solubility, the ability of a chemical to dissolve in a given solvent. Number 18, partition coefficient, the relative distribution of a chemical between two different phases, such as aqueous and lipid. Number 19, pH, the measure of the acidity or basicity of a chemical. And number 20, radioactivity, the ability of a chemical to emit radiation. Dear friends and fellows, maybe many of us they are not able to understand 20 different properties of chemicals. You can understand there are different varieties: corrosiveness, flammability, toxicity. The chemicals are mutagen, chemicals are carcinogen, they are affecting nervous system. Maybe they are going to damage cardiovascular system. They are going to make genetic problems. They are radioactive, emitting radiation. How damaging the chemicals are if not properly controlled, handled, and safely used. Now, the important question is how to control these chemicals. Those are being used in our daily life, even we are at home or at our workplaces. An important document that is called SDS Safety Data Sheet. Let us understand the role or the use of safety data sheet in chemical safety. Dear friends and fellows, an SDS safety data sheet is a document that provides information on the properties and hazards of a chemical, as well as the precautions that should be taken when handling, storing, and using the chemical. The SDS is an important tool in maintaining chemical safety in the workplace because it provides workers with the information they need to understand the risks associated with a chemical and to take the necessary precautions to protect themselves and other fellow workers. The SDS should include information on the chemical's physical and chemical properties, including its boiling point, flash point, and pH, as well as any hazardous effects it may have on human health or the environment. It should also provide information on the appropriate protective measures that should be taken when handling the chemical, such as the use of personal protective equipment, PPE, and the proper ventilation requirements. You are on the platform of Safety First Life. If you are watching for the first time, kindly subscribe it and press the bell icon for all future notifications. And if you find the video informative, then like, comment, and share it with your friends and fellows. In addition to providing information to workers, the SDS is also an important tool for employers in maintaining a safe and healthy workplace. Employers can use the information in the SDS to develop safe work practices and procedures for handling, storing, and using the chemicals, and to ensure that workers are properly trained on the hazards and precautions associated with the chemicals. Do you know the contents of safety data sheet? As I told you, an SDS safety data sheet is a document that provides information on the properties and hazards of a chemical. The SDS is typically organized into 16 sections as required by the United Nations globally harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals, GHS. These 16 sections are: number 1, identification. Identification includes the product identifier, manufacturer or supplier information, and emergency contact information. Element number 2, hazard identification. It includes information on the chemical's physical, health, and environmental hazards, as well as any relevant warning statements. Content number 3, composition and information on ingredients. It includes information on the chemical's ingredients, including their names and concentrations. Number 4, first aid measures. Includes instructions for administering first aid in the event of an accidental exposure or injury because of chemicals. Number 5, firefighting measures includes information on the chemical's fire hazards as well as the appropriate firefighting techniques and equipment to use. Number 6, accidental release measures includes instructions for responding to a chemical spill or leak. Number 7, handling and storage. It includes recommendations for handling and storing the chemicals safety. Number 8, exposure controls and personal protection. It includes information on the appropriate personal protective equipment to use when handling the chemicals. Number 9, physical and chemical properties, including information on the chemical's physical and chemical properties such as its boiling point, flash point, and pH. Number 10, stability and reactivity. It includes information on the chemical's stability and reactivity, as well as any hazardous reactions it may have with other chemicals. Number 11, toxicological information includes information on the toxicological effects of the chemical on humans and animals. Number 12, ecological information. It includes information on the chemical's potential environmental impacts. Number 13, disposal considerations. It includes recommendations for the safe disposal of chemicals. Number 14, transport information. It includes information on the appropriate regulations and guidelines for transporting the chemicals. Number 15, regulatory information. It includes information on any relevant regulatory requirements or restrictions for the chemical. And the last point, content number 16, other information includes any additional information or notes related to the chemicals. Dear friends and fellows, we are talking about chemicals safety. And in this training session, we are discussing about the contents of safety data sheet. How we can say SDS is beneficial in the implementation of chemical safety at work. Now, let us understand the most important question. We already know chemicals are hazardous. We have learned what are the hazards caused by chemicals. Those may affect the human health and the environment. But the most important question is how to understand chemical properties. Dear friends and fellows, there are several ways to understand the chemical properties of a substance. The number one point is read the label. Many chemicals are labeled with information on their hazards and precautions. This information can help you understand the chemical's properties and how to handle it safely. So, the most important point to deal, to handle, to use, to transport, or to store chemicals is to read the label first. Number two, refer to the SDS safety data sheet. And SDS is a document that provides detailed information on the properties and hazards of a chemical. As I told you, an SDS has 16 sections, including information on the chemical's identification, composition, hazards, first aid measures, handling, and storage, safety precautions. You need to read, you need to follow because the manufacturer knows well how to deal, how to handle, how to transport, how to store, and how to use chemicals at home or at work. Number third way to understand chemicals is to consult a reference source. There are many reference sources that provide information on the properties and hazards of chemicals, such as handbooks, dictionaries, and online database. These sources can be helpful resource for understanding a chemical's properties. Fourth way to understand chemicals is conduct experiments. Some chemical properties can be determined through experiments, such as measuring the chemical's melting point, boiling point, or pH. These experiments can provide valuable information on the chemical's properties. But as an individual, as a worker, you don't need to make or conduct experiment. Maybe this experiment harm you may cause an incident at your workplace, and it may be a damaging incident for your life and safety. Fifth way to control and understand the chemical properties effectively and efficiently is to consult a specialist. If you are unsure about a chemical properties or how to handle it safely, consider consulting a specialist such as a chemist or toxicologist. They can provide expert guidance on the chemical properties and how to handle it, how to use it, how to store it, or how to transport it safely. You can protect yourself by understanding chemical properties. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Wish to see you soon with a new HSC tutorial. Until then, take care, good luck, and goodbye.